Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I feel like I've missed you guys. I feel like I need to almost welcome myself back to the channel too, because I haven't done a video in probably 6 days or so. So definitely it's time. My kids have been sick. They've had the flu and it's gone from one to the other, so it's been a horrible week. But everybody's feeling better now, and it's time to make another video. So today we have Truth Talks, and it is the episode where he does a podcast with the last people that were to see Chris and the kids alive. So they have a lot of insight on Chris and Shanann and how the whole thing went. And some of the stuff they say is really interesting. So let's get into it. And I also give my thoughts as well throughout the video. And it's definitely a very interesting video. So let's get into it. Before we do, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. If you are subscribed and a returning subscriber, thank you very much. I love you all. So, all right, let's get into it without further ado.
And we're going to be talking about the Chris Watts story. You guys have intimate details. Potentially the last person to actually see Chris and the girls alive. Is that correct?
Yes.
We want to kind of go into your aspect of the story, and as it's told in a first person, there's a whole lot of information and detail that you guys have, some of which I don't think has actually been shared before. And so we want to kind of dive into this story. Obviously the anniversary is coming up. It's been a big story around the country, and a lot of people are really interested in it. So we are very appreciative that you guys are here to actually hear this story firsthand from the people that actually probably saw them last. So introduce yourself.
I'm Jeremy Lindstrom.
And how do you know the what?
I know them because I worked with both of them.
Okay, go into a little bit of that for me. Worked with them as in how? What was your relationship?
Chris was a very good mechanic, master technician. Shanann was a salesperson at the dealership I was at. Met them there. They don't have family that live in Colorado, neither do we. So we kind of struck off a little bit of a family friendship. They would come over to our house for birthday parties, our kids' birthday parties, Father's Day, Super Bowls, sporadic football games because they were big Pittsburgh Steelers fans. So, and we're from San Diego, so Chargers fans. If
Right.
they ever played, we were together for that game. They would have parties at their house for Steelers parties, and we'd go over and watch the game with them, and just random barbecues throughout the summer.
So your initial contact was through work, though.
Absolutely.
And what about you, Jennifer? How did you know them?
Through Jeremy, he met them both at work, and he said, hey, there's this nice couple, and they just moved out here, and they don't have any family, and we should, go out to dinner with them and hang out. And then after that, we just started hanging out with them regularly. And
So I kind of want to go back and forth between the two of you because I really want to set the stage. There's a whole lot of documentation on this story. Mm-hmm. And in the documentation of the story, there is kind of a common theme, really, that most people didn't think this guy was capable of this.
No, absolutely not.
So I kind of want to get your perspective, when you first met him, kind of when you first got to know the guy and so on and so forth, and know Shanann, because part of this story is, and you'd said it before a little bit, most people think that you knew him first, but you actually knew Shanann better.
Yes.
So I kind of want to get that perspective on this. So I want you both, we'll start with you, kind of how you knew him first, and then I want to get your perspective on what you thought of both Chris and Shanann.
What do you guys think? I think that probably both of these were more drawn to Shanann because she was much more of an outgoing person. She was kind. She was a good mother. They saw all this, and Chris was more standoffish, more quiet. Just don't see him really big into making time to go and spend time with other friends. I think Shanann was mostly the one to do that. I don't know.
Shanann was very detail-oriented, very OCD in a way, right? Chris was mow the lawn, clean out the garage. It was a very old-school, traditional family value in their house. Chris was a mechanic. Shanann was a mother, right? Like, very traditional along a lot of those. I told her one day at work, hey, I want to meet with you every Monday at 1:00. Let's go through your customers. Let's see what I can help you with. Let's see what I can do. She would show up in my office, whether I was ready or not, with her phone. My alarm went off. She
Yeah.
would hold me accountable for our meetings. And Chris was meticulous with everything. That kid was one of the best mechanics I've ever seen fixing cars. He had a passion for what he did fixing cars at the store as a service guy. One day for his birthday, she bought him a supercharger for his Mustang. Like, would you think anything different? No. She knew what he loved. He knew what she loved. It worked, right? Everything worked. He is a hardworking kid. Anything she said to do, he would do it. 100% of the time. Hey, my parents are going to move out here. You're going to fly out to the East Coast, and you're driving the moving truck back, and they're going to fly home. He's like, I'm good with that. I'll drive the truck so they can fly home. They don't have to ride in the truck, right? This is the kid that did this. So there's no way, shape, or form would I ever believe this could happen.
Well, there's certainly a consensus with a lot of the stuff that's out there that is a very accurate description from a lot
100%.
of people. How did you feel about the two?
Pretty much the same. Like Shanann was always, like from the moment I met her, she was always super outgoing and super friendly. She wanted to, when we first met her, she didn't have any kids yet, and but you could tell that they really wanted to have kids, and she was really interested in, our girls and what they liked, and wanted to spend time with them. And then she got pregnant with her oldest, Bella, and you could tell that was, always her dream is to have kids. And
Exciting moment.
yes,
Nothing seemed odd.
Well, she wasn't even sure she could have kids, right?
yeah, they did have, I know, some fertility problems with the first two, and
That she discussed with you?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, she just always really wanted to be a mom, and she loved, like, when she was pregnant, she would always be excited about, oh, I'm, decorating the baby's nursery, and this is the theme I chose, and I got all the clothes ready, and they're all washed and hung up, but I'm only 4 months pregnant, and
So very type A, like Jeremy
Oh,
just
absolutely.
described.
yeah, very
Absolutely.
organized and just always like ready to go. Like, what's the next thing? And she just always had something going on that she could really dive into and be involved in, and just
And consistently that way every time you met him.
oh yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
So tell me how often that you guys did get together. I know we talked about some football
Mm-hmm.
games and some parties, which we're going to get to the one party, which was the night before. But prior to that, did you hang out on a pretty regular basis?
Regular as in maybe 6-8 times a year,
Okay.
depending on stuff. If I ever invited them to something, they showed up.
Yeah.
It's just, if they invited us to something, we showed up. It was just how we lived, 2 miles from each other?
So she worked with you. Did you develop a relationship with him?
Yes and no.
Well,
right?
when,
Like,
when you go to parties a lot of times and you're hanging out, the men will kind of go over to one side, women will kind of do their thing.
Yeah.
Were you with him one-on-one a lot?
No,
Not so much.
no. He would come over, and his main goal was my food. Whatever I barbecued, whatever I smoked up, whatever I cooked, whatever we put out, he was like, I'm coming over because I know there's food,
Right.
right? But he spent a lot of time with the kids.
Yes.
Shanann was more, hey, how can I help clean? What can I cook? What can I do? She needed to be involved in the party, right? Chris was involved in the kids and making sure they were taken care of, they were okay, right? Like, that's just how it always happened. Hey, they wouldn't leave. Shanann's like, I want to help clean the kitchen. I want to help put the dishes away. I want to do this. Like, that was normal. As normal as could be with really good friends.
Consistently every time, too.
100%.
100%. So there was nothing early on where you were like, wow, this is an interesting type of dynamic relationship. It was actually one of those just really good old-fashioned school relationships.
No, this was a relationship that people would probably wish for. With what she demanded in life and his acceptable personality, fit.
Which is really interesting because it sets up a story that's almost unfathomable anyway, and we're going to get to that because we've talked off camera about this before, and this is what makes the story so intriguing to me. because it is very difficult to place. And we're going to ask you a lot of those questions because I know you feel the same way. So leading up to that night, I want to jump right into the night before. They're at your house. The birthday. Describe that party.
The birthday that he was sitting and texting Nikki at the whole time. The water balloon fight. That text message.
That's the night before.
Extremely normal. We invited Chris because we knew Shanann was out of town. They talked, and we knew she wasn't going to be there.
Now, she was in Arizona.
Yes.
Yes.
Did you talk to her while she was in Arizona?
No, I did not, but my daughter did because she had actually babysat the girls the night before the birthday party.
Correct.
So Chris could go to a
Baseball game.
alleged baseball game.
Right.
Which I invited him to the Broncos game because I received tickets. And he told me he couldn't go because his work would be mad if he didn't use the tickets.
And this was the night before, the
Yeah.
party.
Yes.
Yeah, this was literally Saturday night.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sunday
so
was the
let's
party.
just start there. So the night before your party, you had invited him to the Bronco game.
I invited him a few days earlier, and that's when he texted me back, "Oh, I can't go. I got tickets to the Rockies game, and
I need
if
a
I don't use
babysitter."
them, my work's going to be mad that I didn't use them." And I get that because that's 100% normal conversation. Because if my work gave me their season tickets for the Broncos, and they saw they didn't get scanned in, somehow they know.
Yeah.
They know they didn't get used. Or if they find out they didn't get used, you're never getting tickets again.
Yeah.
So we know in hindsight, though, that he had taken this mistress
Yes.
to the game.
Right.
But you did not know that.
No.
Your friends, but did they have any other friends at the
I don't know why he just said took the mistress to the game. This was, I believe, the night they went to the Lazy Dog. Saturday. Yeah, that is the night. So he must have just misspoke.
they were really, really close to, that they did a lot of things with?
The Thrive friends, but we didn't know any of them. But I heard Shanann would talk about them.
But you guys had never heard any marital problems. Neither one of them had
No.
discussed any of that.
None of the marital, none of the financial, none of any of that.
On the surface, it's just like, this is the perfect family.
Yes.
Okay. So again, hindsight, we find this out. But you invite him. He says he's going to go to this game.
Normal excuse, normal everything. I don't think anything. I have zero radar of this kid ever lying to me. Zero radar, right?
Yeah.
And so when he said, "Oh, the work's going to get mad if I don't use these tickets," I get it.
Right.
I've been there. I
Makes
understand
sense.
that.
He probably never really did lie to Jeremy. He probably only lied when he met Nicole and had to lie. He had the picture perfect marriage minus financial problems and then let this woman take him down.
Makes 100% sense. And I invited him because I thought I remembered him saying one time he'd never actually been to a live NFL game. So I was like, I thought of him right out of the gate. I'm like, why not? I know that she's out of town, and before she had went to before she went to North Carolina, she's like, "Hey, make sure you call him and hang out with him. I don't want him doing anything dumb while I'm gone."
Now, when
Right.
did she leave to go to North Carolina? That was prior to.
That was 5 weeks before.
Maybe
Okay.
at the like more towards the beginning of the summer.
Right.
She had,
Did we think it was weird she was leaving for 5 weeks with the kids to North Carolina? Sure.
yeah.
Yes.
But Shanann's personality didn't lead down any paths of marital issues or anything, right?
Well, this is why we're getting your story, because you guys have a really interesting perspective on the story. Because, again, knowing people, being friends. Now, there's a lot of times in relationships people don't tell their personal stuff, right?
Sure.
Right.
But it was odd that she had left. But still, in your mind, because you'd seen them interact so well together, the 5 weeks is just 5 weeks. You thought maybe
Yeah.
she's type A. She's going to go do whatever she's going to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. Get me to the party the night before.
My
party.
son's birthday party.
Yes.
He came over like they have for the last 4 years, right? Mm-hmm. They came over. He shows up. He's got the diaper bags. He's got the girls, and it was normal conversation with Shanann. It was, "Hey, Chris is going to bring the girls over." Of course, nothing out of the blue. We're playing in the backyard. The girls are running around playing. They're playing in the little swimming pool.
Was he on time?
Give or take, there was no time.
Well, I mean, he was a little bit later, but he had mentioned when he got there that the girls had just woken up from their nap, and
And nap was very important. Shanann
Yeah.
had these girls on a
On a
schedule.
schedule.
Okay, so they were on schedule,
Yeah.
so nothing there was odd. It's just
Nope.
they were taking a nap
Yeah.
and then they showed up. Okay.
Yep.
They were-
And we
All their
were playing water balloons in the backyard. Chris was throwing water balloons. The girls were throwing water balloons. They were all normal kids' birthday party. Nothing crazy, right?
Do you see why I ask these questions? Because on the outside, it's extremely difficult. And because you guys have this really intimate knowledge, this is why it's really an interesting topic. And I'm trying to make sure that we don't skip anything or miss anything. Because I think you guys would have caught it. You know him pretty intimately. So he's out there
If
playing.
anything was off.
yeah.
Say that again?
If anything was off, absolutely we would have seen something.
Correct. But he would be out there playing with the water balloons because we talked about it earlier where you're like, he would kind of migrate towards where the kids are at.
Yep.
Okay. So he's out playing with the kids, nothing out of the normal. He was a little bit late, but there's a nap. We kind of know that.
Right.
Okay, I gotta stop here. I find that very strange. Nothing was off, and I don't believe anything maybe was off on that Saturday. I believe that that night that he went to the Lazy Dog was when everything changed. You guys know why, if you follow my channel. But I believe that Jim and Nicole, most likely, were both at the Lazy Dog. I believe that's why they went from one lazy dog to the other lazy dog to meet Jim. And I think that they discussed and came up with a plan or whatever, decided to do whatever they were going to do. That is why Chris has said numerous times that he wishes he had never went that night and he wouldn't have lied to Jeremy about needing a babysitter. So take note on that.
Well,
Okay.
and at the same time, this is the first time we've seen one of them without the other. So we wouldn't have anything to judge off of.
Okay.
But it was still normal, like with the kids. Then when we got to the birthday cake, he was standing in there. He knew that the girls had allergies. She knows more about what their allergies were, but he didn't let them have cake. He didn't let them have certain things because he knew they had allergies, right? We got them popsicles out of the garage because they could have popsicles. And then shortly after the cake, it was time for them to go home because their bedtime is 7-ish o'clock.
Again, on schedule.
On schedule.
So let me
100%.
ask you a question. When you were talking about the birthday cake, when he tells you they can't have it because of their allergies, was it just a sincere, I mean, was there anything about that where you would be like, okay, that's odd or anything like that?
No, because I mean, we knew the kids had allergies, and he just said, I'm sorry, they can't have cake, and you could tell that they were disappointed. So that at that point, I said, okay, well, we have, just ice pops in the freezer outside.
And was that conversation the same conversation you'd always had with him?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Every birthday party's been the same. They can't have the cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wish this guy would have done his research a little better, some due diligence, and finding out more about the case, because if he did, he would be asking some different kind of questions. A lot different of a type of questions. Hopefully he does better in this next part of the interview. Let's continue.
So it was not abnormal by any means.
Yeah, I've replayed that birthday party in my head 1,000 times
Yes.
since then, just to see, was there something that we missed that, we could,
We haven't had his birthday party at our house since then.
Well, so one of the things that I certainly wanted to ask is, obviously at a birthday party, you're taking pictures. Did you guys take a bunch of
Yes.
pictures that evening?
oh yeah.
And tell me anything about the pictures. Was there anything about the pictures that stood out to be different?
No. Not well. So in my mind, and I have the picture, and I can send it to you now. Somebody tried to steal it off my Facebook page from another media source, right? And I had them take it down, and they did take it down. But I have a picture of him standing in the background of my kid blowing out a candle, right? And it's probably the most awkward, lack of better words, just that's the image that's in my brain of him blowing out his candles and Chris standing behind him and the girls standing on the side with Bella looking up and over trying to watch him blow out his candles, right? That's my last image of them.
So when you see that picture and you see him, is it a different Chris Watts than you knew?
you keep looking at it and his face changes, right? Every time I look at that photo, his face changes, and now it's like, that's a creepy fucking picture,
Yeah.
right? Like for real.
He truly looks evil in that picture.
Yes.
Truly.
That
In the
is
beginning,
so interesting.
absolutely not. Now, absolutely, right?
Because
Like what she said.
like, and the way his eyes, he's just like slightly looking up at, like, towards the camera, just with like no soul in his eyes.
Did you have the same visceral response as Jeremy did?
Yeah.
When you saw that picture?
Yeah, and it was the same too when we saw him being in his infamous porch interview after everything happened.
Right.
He looked and sounded different in that interview. Like, it wasn't him. It was him, obviously, but he looked and sounded different.
So
and same
you
with that
almost
picture.
knew then, because we're going to get to this in a little bit, because
Yeah.
you haven't kept up quite as much as she has.
Right,
in there,
and
so-
I'm probably one of 3 supporters that thought that news interview was not what everybody else saw. Right, when you're inside the bubble and you don't want to believe things, you still don't see things.
Well, I'm going to get to that, because I'm going to really hammer that hard, because especially with, you were there, you were at the house, but I'm going to bring that up in just a second. So, as with anybody that goes to a birthday party or anything, there comes that moment where it's time to go, and obviously Shanae's not there, who would have cleaned up and made sure all that happened. Was there any anxiety, anything, or was the departure also what you would consider normal?
Extremely normal.
Was it, come on, girls, let's get in the car? I mean, what was
Yeah.
that?
It was bedtime's coming up, right?
Yeah.
We know that. We know Shanann's schedule. Like, she has a schedule, and if you tell us it's her schedule, we're going to say,
Yep.
okay,
Yeah.
right? That's okay, right? And we don't.
Yeah. Well, and they stayed a long time too. It's not like they were there and left in 30 minutes.
Well, that's what I want
yeah,
to know.
they
The
were
party
there.
started how long were they there?
Probably for 3 hours.
Yeah, was it 3 or 4 hours normal?
They were there for
And that would be normal.
Yeah, they were there for the playing and the eating and the cake and the presents. Like, they're in all, during a party, you take a series of pictures, like, of the kids playing, of the presents and the cake. They're in all of those events that happened at the party, and then they, just,
And he doesn't
So-
drink or anything,
Yeah.
right?
so they just said, all right, well, we
Nothing.
gotta get going.
So he had nothing to drink.
No, he doesn't.
He
doesn't
doesn't
drink. Not his thing.
I wish that the police had done a toxicology on Chris to find out if there was any substances in his body that maybe Nicole had put there. I know there's a lot of speculation around that. I don't know what to think about that. I haven't really looked down the rabbit hole there too much, but what makes somebody snap like this? From a perfect father to one night out with your mistress and everything changes. It just makes no sense at all.
Yeah. Very, very, very fascinating, because again, this is kind of the story I think that a lot of people have never heard before.
Right.
And it's a real interesting thing, because again, when we can all put ourselves in that situation to know what is coming down the pipeline here. You would think, absolutely think, that there would be something out of place or something not right.
Yeah, there's no way in my brain that this kid said, hey, can't wait to marry that girl so we can have kids and kill them all.
Yeah.
Right? That didn't happen. Like,
Yeah.
that's not how that works, I guess. Like,
Are you convinced that, obviously I think we know through, what investigations have taken place that it was pre-planned. He knew he was going to do that.
based on all the stuff I've heard since then, apparently, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
And
kind
how
of the consensus.
How can anybody freaking go to a kid's birthday party knowing that, hey, hurry up? Why would you protect the cake? Like, all that shit goes through my head, right?
Right.
Why would you care that they're allergic to something if you're about to take them home and freaking do what you did?
Because he was not planning on this at the time. I'm telling you guys, he was not. I'm so certain of this. He was not planning to do this until that night at the Lazy Dog. That was his no turning back point. Could he have turned back? Yes, he could have. But he let the plans go through.
Yeah.
That doesn't work, right?
It doesn't, which is kind of that gap of speculation. Did the guy really intend to do it while he was at the birthday party? Did he?
According to his post interviews that I've seen, it was weeks. before. I believe the kid, maybe I'm going too far into the story, but when he got with this other girl and got to go camping and got to go to the Shelby Museum, which he's a big Ford mechanic, right?
Yeah.
That's his passion, was Ford mechanics. His passion wasn't the oil field. It was the Ford mechanic. It was going camping, going to the Shelby Museum, going to all these Moab and everywhere else he got to go in that 5 weeks period of time, probably is what transformed his brain to a lifestyle that he didn't have, that he didn't know existed, and then wanted.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of speculation to that, and kind of how that transition went. I mean, there are certainly a ton of interviews. Here at Truth Talks, we don't want to, we don't want to put everybody else's perspective into this because it's really about you guys telling the story. But there is certainly some perspective that it had been going on for a while. The thought process was there, and then obviously we did it. That's why it's so interesting to know that you guys saw them the night before.
Yeah.
That was what was really interesting. One of the other things we want to talk about is, again, when you hear that, your daughter babysat for them.
Yes.
That's got to be a little chilling too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and her story was when she babysat the night for the baseball game, right? When she came home, she had mentioned the pantry was a mess, like the house was a mess. It was not clean anymore. It was not organized anymore. There was zero regard for everything that Shanann does at the house, right? She's like, I've never seen that house that dirty.
That is really odd, seeming how just the very next day or Monday morning they find the house immaculate. It's all cleaned up, it's all organized. The police made several comments about how organized the house was and how clean and neat it was. So how did Chris have time to do all that too? How did he have time to do by himself, do all this? How did he have time to do all 3 homicides and to clean up everything and go to work? How make it make sense?
Stuff was everywhere.
And that is interesting because that's the whole reason why I wanted to bring that up is there was something awry that as far as that goes. Mm-hmm. And your daughter noticed that.
Yeah.
Right.
And brought that to your attention. So we know that, man, it is really structured how they live their life, but yet she noticed that there was something not right.
Right.
Yeah.
And was there anything else that she said?
Yes, it was about the allergies. So when I picked her up, she said that, everything went good. She said that, I said, well, how did bedtime go? Because I know if she were to be babysitting her brother, bedtime wouldn't go good. He wouldn't want to go to sleep. And, but I know, they have a very regimented schedule. So she said that CeCe went to bed pretty easily on time, but then Bella went to bed and then came downstairs and said she wasn't tired yet, wasn't ready to go to bed. And through some conversation that she had with Bella had mentioned that her sister can't have coconuts, and that she does have coconuts, that she won't be able to see her anymore. So that really stood out to my daughter, and she thought that was kind of sad that she, had thought that in her little mind, but
Possibly someone had told her if she has an allergic reaction to it that they could die or something like that.
Most likely because she wasn't able to see her grandmother and grandpa on Chris's side after the nut incident. I'm sure you guys are all picking up on this stuff too. I just have to call it out when I see it.
Yeah, so it's probably just so that she would know to, help watch out so that she doesn't eat the wrong foods. But then, eventually Bella settled down and went to sleep. Another strange thing was that Chris, when she got there, Chris ordered pizza and said the girls have already had all their medications, because my daughter was a little worried, like, am I going to have to give them medications at certain times? Am I going to have to give them nebulizer treatments because they had asthma? So she was worried about the medications and giving them the right medications. But he said, no, they're all good. I gave them their medications. You just have to feed them and put them to bed. They were already in their pajamas. Chris didn't leave his phone number with her, and she didn't leave her phone number with him. It wasn't like a conversation. And he didn't contact Jeremy or any of us to ask how the girls were doing. But Shanann, who was in Arizona, contacted our daughter to check on the girls and asked her to send pictures of them.
So Shanann must have known that he was at the game.
Yeah, she
Just
knew.
not
Yeah,
with
she
him.
knew that she was babysitting and that he was at the game, but she was the one that was checking in on how things were going with the girls, not Chris.
But that's kind of still par for the course, right?
Yeah.
Because she was always the one that was going to make sure everything was in order and detail.
Yeah.
So again, probably not too out of the ordinary for their lifestyle.
Yeah, but I guess he assumed if there was some sort of emergency that she would just contact me because I was, at home right down the street.
Right.
So
after your guys' party, then we know that fateful night, right? So I want to go through when you first heard about it. I mean, obviously you're at this party, they're there, the girls are there, he's there, the girls are with him. You go to bed that evening. Was it the next morning, right?
That we found out?
Yeah,
the next
No, it was the
evening-
next night.
Yeah.
the next night.
I was sitting on the couch. I came home from work, watching TV, looking at Facebook on my phone, and I noticed that there was a post that the girls were missing, all three of them. And I kind of looked at it, and then I'm like, okay, right? My mindset is not that this is the family that something would happen to. And I had seen it again, and I looked over at her, and I said, I think Shanann and the girls are missing. And I don't know what that means. So I'm going to text Chris. And I texted him.
And this is the next night.
Yes.
Next night.
So the way the story goes is that the friend who dropped her off at, I think it was 1:48 a.m., they just come back from a conference. She had missed an OBGYN appointment, and the friend was actually who called the police
Yep.
and called Chris as
Right.
well.
Yep.
Which is interesting because we've discussed this case before as we were kind of preparing, and we both were kind of like, who really follows up that quickly? I mean,
Right.
I don't think we would have, but obviously a good friend of hers, probably knowing that the type A personality, if they didn't answer that first time, then
Yep.
something's going on.
Yep.
So that was kind of the initial setup that was going on, but you guys didn't know any of that was taking place.
No.
But after
I
you
knew
saw
she
it,
was getting home in
Yeah.
those 2 days, right? Like,
yeah.
we knew that much.
When you guys heard that part of the story, was that shocking at all for you? Knowing that the neighbor would be like, hey, she didn't answer this text, she missed OBGYN appointment.
Well, my instant reaction is, how does somebody's friend know that they missed a doctor's appointment? Nobody's doctor ever called me because one of my buddies missed an appointment, right?
Right.
That
Because Nicole Atkinson was a very, very good friend. We all know this. But how did Chris not know? Well, we can answer that too. He didn't care. He was all into Nicole.
that's my mindset of things. What they talked about in Arizona or what they did in Arizona or a conversation from the airport, I don't know any of that, right?
Yeah.
Who knows if there wasn't a conversation that was like, hey, if you don't hear from me, right? Like, I don't know. Now that everything I know later brings me back to some of this,
Right.
which is all speculation in my head, right? But when I followed this through, and I'm like, there's no way he did anything. Who calls the cops after dropping somebody off at 2 a.m. or whatever at 10 a.m. because they missed a doctor's appointment?
Yeah.
Like, nobody's doctor calls that somebody else to say, hey, your friend missed an appointment.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? That's my brain.
Yeah, no, I kind of went down that road too. And then what is interesting is, but we're talking now, this is like noon, the police have showed up, they're talking about, but then it hits the airwaves that night.
Well, and at the end of the day, good for her, right?
Right.
Good for her for
Oh,
having
absolutely.
the wherewithal to know that something's wrong.
Yeah, something's
Right.
wrong.
Because we knew them and we were close to them and we didn't speculate anything
Yeah.
would ever be wrong.
Yeah.
But so good for her, right?
But you then hear this information how and when?
On Facebook at about 8:30 at night, and I looked at her and I said, I'm texting Chris, hey, is everything okay?
What was the initial message that you saw?
On
That
Facebook?
said, yeah, did
Was
it
that
say
the girls are missing, help find my girls.
From Shanann's mom.
Right,
from Shanann's mom?
Yep.
Okay.
right.
And
And I was like, I'm texting Chris, hey, is everything okay, right? And he texts me back, oh, I'm sick to my stomach, blah, blah, blah.
Can you give me a timeline on that, about what time that was?
Let's just say 8:30,
Okay.
and about 8:30 and 30 seconds, I
Okay.
texted Chris, but by 8:31, I was already in my car,
Okay.
driving to his house, right? Like, what the hell's going on here? I have flashlights in my car. Who are we going to look for? Or did they go on a walk because they have a pool in their area? Did they go to use the bathroom in the pool because the girls had to go to the bathroom? Did they get stuck in a bathroom? I'm not leaving them overnight stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? That was my
That was the initial
let's
thought.
go. Right? And so I went over to the house. His door's wide open. He's on the phone with somebody. I go in the house and I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's like, I don't know. I don't know where they went. Her said she was going to maybe stay at a friend's house. Like, oh, I got all the bullshit.
Okay, I wanna stop you right there though. And again, this is in hindsight.
Yep.
You see Chris at the party, and even before.
Yep.
Was there anything different about that engagement?
No.
Okay.
Nope. When I went into the house, I'm sitting at his table. He's on the phone with someone, and it's like, where the hell are they? I'm like, hey, where do we go? Where do we go look? What do we do? And he says, oh, the cops told me to stay here. I don't know what I'm looking for. They told me just to go to bed, and we'll do this tomorrow, and whatever, right? He was just saying things, and I'm just like, okay, I don't want to push him too far. I don't want to bug him. I don't want to not be supportive by any means. And so maybe 30 minutes goes by or so, and then I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll go home, right? And when I walked out to my truck, my phone rings. Let me back up. While I'm in the house, she's texting my phone. Where's her car? Are the car seats in the car? Where's their medications? Right? All the mother.
So you're thinking
Yeah.
about this.
Because
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe they got into a fight and she left and went back to North Carolina or something along those lines.
Right.
But then he's like, no, all the stuff is here. And that really did not sit well. Because I'm like, okay, so she would have to like get an Uber that had car seats in it and already have medication. Like I'm trying to logically think like, okay, she left and went back to North Carolina. That's where
And you knew her type A personality.
yeah, I'm like, that's totally what must have happened. And she just needed time to cool down. So, but the stuff being there was really, and then to come to find out her purse was there, her wallet was there, her phone was there.
Correct.
So that, like, that was really the kicker right there.
Now,
that
did
something's
you
not right.
relay that information
Yes.
to her? That the
Yeah.
person
So I
phoned-
asked him, I said, where's their medication?
Yeah.
Where's their medicine? He said, oh, she has more than enough medication
Yeah.
than we have at the house.
Did you go inside the garage and see the car
No.
with the car seats?
No.
Did he just
I-
told you that?
I didn't want to. I guess in my subconscious did not want me to attack anything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Nor was I thinking I should. I asked him straight up. I said, is the car in the garage? He said, yes. Car seats? Yes. Where's her phone? It was on the counter. Cops took it. Right? He answered my question,
Yeah.
so I didn't have any reasons to.
And still, your
Oh.
radar is like, this is the same guy that I've known.
I'm thinking you're the cool, calm-headed guy, and I know her well enough to know that if you try to screw her over, she's taking these kids and she's getting the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Right? Because her personality says so.
Yeah.
And so when he said, well, we got in an argument and she said she was just going to take the kids and go to her friend's house, I'm thinking, okay, that's probably it. Right? Because nobody comes home from work and says, hey, by the way, you know your best friends, or not best friends, but your friends, they just killed their family.
But at any
Yeah,
point,
no.
but at any point in your mind, it's like, well, number one, that friend would have to live close.
Right?
And then certainly by then the cops would have found, they probably would have called every friend that they had.
Sure.
Did you get a call from the police?
I did. So when I left his house, I go out, door shuts. I'm standing on his porch. I look down, there's a dead bird on the floor. And I'm thinking, why is that bird on the ground dead? Right? Doesn't happen. I said, yeah, that's not a sign I'm leaving. Right?
That is crazy. Along with all the paranormal stuff and the video that was being shown when Nate was showing his body cam, how it went into the fetus and the skull and the oil. That was really, really creepy. Now he's talking about a dead bird. Oh my gosh. These people are probably scarred for the rest of their lives. And I mean, we all just watching this case and just learning things about it, we are going to have this case in our minds for the rest of our lives. But can you imagine the ones that were close to the family, just like this, and like Nicole Atkinson and like her other friends? I mean, I don't see how you can just go on from this. And they can't. They're having trouble to this day, crying to this day. They were really, really good friends. They had really had great friends and a great relationship until the Nicole Kessinger happened. It's so sad.
Right away, I'm like, yeah, that's not a sign of anything. I'm leaving. And I'm walking to my truck, and my phone rings, and it's the Frederick Police Department calling my phone. Hey, how's it going? This is, I forget the name, but at Frederick Police Department. Do you know Chris and Shanann? I said, yeah, I'm at his house right now. And he goes, oh, should I call you back? Right out of the gate, should I call you back? Is this a bad time? I said, I'm actually getting in my truck right now. And he's like, oh, okay. You know, we start talking, and he just asked a few questions. And he goes, hey, I need your email address. And he asked personal information, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, I may be contacting you in the next few days if I have any other questions, blah, 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 right?
Do you mind disclosing what questions that they ask?
Normal. How do you know them? What's my cell phone number? He called it, but he wanted to write it down. And I asked him, I said, do you guys have her phone? Yeah, we're going through all the phone numbers on our phone, and we're just calling them all. I don't have any questions. He didn't have major questions of anything. It was
general information.
Just, hey, I just want you to have my phone, or I want to have your phone number. I want to have your email address. We may be calling you. You're at the house right now? Yes. What'd you guys talk about? Nothing. I'm just looking for where these kids are, right? Where Shanann is. And then he's like, okay, well, thanks for talking to me. And that was it.
So nothing about, when did you get there? What are you doing there? How long have you been there?
They weren't investigating anything, right? They were just going through phone numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at that point they didn't even know what they were up against or looking for.
One would think that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you would think that anytime something like that happens, the first thing you do is everybody's a suspect, I would think.
Sure,
And
sure.
because I want to get to that a little bit later, too. I want to talk to you a little bit about what your experience was with that, and if you felt like you had, there was any type of really questioning of you, like what was your role in this thing.
Right.
So, again, you then... You hear this news, you go home. What happens after you go home? Are you still texting him?
No. Nope, I didn't text him at all the rest of the night. Went to work the next day.
Are you texting Shanann?
No. Oh, I did text Shanann. And I said, hey, where are you?
Yeah.
And I got nothing back, right? I said, and I'm looking at Facebook and I'm looking at different things. And I texted her again. I said, hey, dude, if you're somewhere, just tell your mom, right? Tell your mom where you're at, because your mom's worried shitless.
Yeah.
Just let her know. Nothing. And there was things that would happen, like, because the cops had certain things like on Facebook and stuff like that, they had access to her account and everything. Mm-hmm. You would see where it looked like she was going to respond to something, but then no responses. Like when you text somebody and they text you back, if you have an iPhone, it shows a little cloud that they're typing.
Right.
There was different things where it shows that the messages were read, not from my phone, but from Facebook. Because I messaged her on Facebook, and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Do you guys mind opening up this for just a second? But you get home that night, after talking to him and so on and so forth. Do you mind telling me what your guys' conversation was?
Essentially, it was the conversation of, I was at the house. Yes, her phone was there, which she knew most of that. The cops called me on the way home. They just wanted to ask me if I knew the family and that I was there, right? Like, I don't know all the details of all that part. But then it was like, where the hell did they go? And both of us look at each other, and it's like, she left, right? She left with the kids.
Well, and you also found out kind of an important piece of information while you were over there, as I'm grilling him with questions when he comes home.
That's what I want to know. Were you like ramping up questions?
Yeah, because I'm trying to make sense of all this. And he mentioned that Chris said that they were having marital problems, and that was the last time that we saw them all in person together she was newly pregnant. They were excited. Never heard of any marital problems. So he said, yeah, they've been, having disagreements and whatnot. So immediately I thought, okay, she left. She took the girls, she left. They're having issues.
You were 100% convinced in your mind that they just left.
Well, that's what I was trying to convince myself of, but the whole piece of the phone, the car seats, the medication, like my mind couldn't reconcile that part of those things being gone. So I'm like, okay, Shanann's really, really smart. She's really organized. So maybe she left that phone and she got a new phone. Like I start thinking about, movie type stuff. Like,
but you went through a lot of scenarios of which her being murdered by her husband was not one of them.
No, yeah, absolutely, like that. And then one that even went through my head at some point was maybe their problems were really bad and maybe she took her life and the girls. Like maybe it was a murder-suicide that way. That was like the worst case scenario in my head. Like maybe they had such a bad fight and there was going to be a custody and she was pregnant, she was stressed out, she just couldn't handle it anymore. Like that was my worst case scenario.
That says so much right there. That says so much about everyone being so naive with Chris. He was a good father, a good husband. By all accounts, a great all-around husband, father, just friend, everything. They would, honestly, they went to think that Shanann would kill herself, and her unborn child and her 2 kids rather than face custody before they would suspect Chris. What does that tell us? I think it says a lot. But also, they did not know the new Chris that he was becoming. And I don't know why he was becoming it exactly, but they didn't know that he was changing. So I guess I can understand that. They didn't know this new Chris that he had turned into. So that's just a horrible, horrible thought.
Is what is so interesting to me, because obviously we know the outcome of the story, but that didn't cross your mind.
No.
Never.
And then as time started going on and, he started doing interviews and, he started becoming a suspect in the media.
Well, so I want to get to that. Yeah. So he comes home, that's that. You guys have this conversation of trying to really figure out what might happen or might have happened. And you probably were trying to even be helpful, like, okay, what can we do to do what we've got to do to help find him? Tell me when the next basic communication happened where you found out information that he was doing these interviews or whatever.
Yeah, the following day.
So Tuesday, the Colorado Bureau of Investigations came to our house.
Okay.
And they had called previously and they said, hey, we want to come talk to you. We want to come talk to your daughter. They're trying to put together, she babysat, right?
Yeah, they're just trying to get together the timeline.
They're trying to put their timeline together.
But you guys would have had to. But you guys would have had to have been on the top of that list, because if she had all these multi-level
100%,
people,
because
you guys
we were
had to
the
be
last
close.
people to be with him.
Did they know that already?
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, yes, because my conversation was my daughter babysat the kids.
Okay.
The night before. They were at our house for the birthday party, right? Now they're missing.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Her mindset was, why the fuck did he do that to us? I mean, I guess that's later in life, later in conversation, but why this nutshell to bring us into this bubble?
Right.
But so Tuesday, the CBI comes over. We sat with one in our living room, and the other one was like, hey, I want to go talk to your daughter in a different room, closed door, about the night of babysitting. Right? And we're like, okay, that's fine, right? We're trying to help. Prior to them showing up, somebody else showed up because they needed pictures of what the kids were wearing. And she had pictures of when she babysat the kids, what they were wearing, what they go to sleep with, what they wake up with. Like they were detailing 3 nights ahead of the birthday party night, right?
Yeah, they're looking for missing persons.
Uh-huh.
Because I know in some of the research that we've done, the police actually even showed him a picture of a woman and 2 kids in a Walmart, and they were asking if those were his kids. Now, I think there were some other psychological things they may have been doing at the time,
Right.
but they were actually at this point still looking for a missing person.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Wait a minute. If Chris, or sorry, not Chris, but if the police were doing their job and they were detailing their timeline for these 3 nights before, why did they never go to the Lazy Dog to find out how long they were there and who was there exactly? Why? Why didn't they go down there and ask questions? Why did they not do the investigation properly? When it came to Nicole, they just didn't look into anything, didn't help her out any, because now we all think that she was involved. Didn't help. It's just, it just makes no sense. Besides corruption, it makes no sense.
Obviously, you guys are on the top of the list, which is why they probably called
Right.
you somewhat similar first. At any point in that time, were you still just trying to picture what could possibly have happened, or now that you're actually getting questioned by police, and we're talking now the bureau stuff?
When CBI came to our house and were talking to us, they kind of said the comment of, there's other people who already have an outcome, right?
And yeah,
I'm assuming
her family.
her family, right?
They already.
But they probably knew a lot more about what was going on between the two of them than we did, right? So I'm still just, I was a supporter of Chris not doing this, and there's no way in hell that that's what the outcome was.
When they questioned your daughter, what were they asking her?
About like normal stuff, like, you know, how long have you known them? What was your relationship with them? And then tell us about, just like walk us through your night of when you babysat. Was anything out of the ordinary? Did anything eventful happen?
And what they were wearing?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
The
they took
night that she
yeah.
left.
Yeah.
They took pictures of her phone that had pictures of what they were wearing, and they showed her pictures of clothes, right?
Which that would have had to have been pretty intense for your daughter too at the time.
Yeah.
Were you guys talking to her about the disappearance, missing? Was she fully aware of what was going
100%.
on?
Yeah.
And at any moment did she come to either one of you and say, "Mom, I think I know what happened. Dad, I think I know what happened"? Or was she also under the influence or under the thought process of where do they go? Wonder if they left. Did she ever say anything potentially of the outcome that involved?
No.
No, yeah, we were all in the same thought process of what is happening? Like, is this even real? Like like none of it seemed real.
Right.
And then, you know, their faces start getting plastered all over the news. And it's really like, what is happening?
Well-
Where are they?
Thank you for leading me directly into that. So when you see this news interview that he does,
I feel like this isn't even real right now. It's like a nightmare that I just can't wake up from.
tell me about that.
That was weird because since we know Chris, we know that he's not an emotional type of guy. He's very passive. So I know a lot of people were saying like he wasn't showing any emotion, like what's wrong with him. And at that point we kind of just brushed it off as, well, that's Chris. Like, I know his family is missing and this is a crazy time, but he's not the type to be freaking out and showing emotion. So that's kind of what we thought. Like, it kind of looked like he did look a little awkward and
But
odd.
he's a very awkward person.
But that's but that's how he is. And then, but then looking back in hindsight, like watching it again after knowing what happened, like he had really weird body language. He kept chuckling. I don't know. He was just really
So after
a
the
little
fact,
too
you noticed.
nonchalant about it.
After the fact, you noticed things that you were like, okay, I
Yeah.
didn't see that before.
Yeah.
Because one of the things, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people who've done a lot of stuff on this. Dr. Phil was one of them that did a whole presentation with it, and he was using pronouns instead of the names, and a lot of things that make sense, kind of in a hindsight 2020 thing. Because it's a big story. It's the unfathomable. And again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys sharing this, because there's somebody's going to benefit from this. There's going to be something that comes out that, this stuff does happen and it's real. And but what is so intriguing is the way you guys have described him, and also even that's Chris. That's the kind of demeanor that he does. I think that's really a fascinating thing. But now you are seeing these things, you have to be hearing from friends that this guy did it.
Oh, yeah. Well, just reading the comments on the news after his interview, everyone after that interview thought that he did it.
They had him pegged because they had no idea who he was.
Yeah, they didn't know who he was. And we're like, no, like he's...
It still didn't sway you.
It's different when you're inside the bubble.
Correct.
We're like,
And,
no.
and I had people calling me from where I worked before that also worked with him. Like, what the hell did she do? Right? Everybody was like, not surprised that she would take the kids and run.
Yeah.
Not surprised of like, just everybody was pointing at her absolutely taking the kids and running.
Yeah.
Like, because nobody would peg him as having the balls, if you will, to do something that drastic.
So even though you're hearing all this, the comments and everything, you guys still were on the, I mean, she just left.
Because it's
Still there.
the same thing. There's no way that kid is capable of doing that.
Right.
Like, there's no way. Like, the kid wouldn't smash a fly at a barbecue, right? That was the mentality he carried around.
And the dad.
He loved those kids. He loved her. He loved his world with them in it, right?
Yeah.
He was content, so it seemed,
Yeah.
with everything, right?
Which is just incredibly fascinating. Let's fast forward then to now he's getting arrested. Now what's going through your mind?
Wednesday, we're sitting hanging out with producer Chad. Obviously, everybody probably already knows we're neighbors. But we're sitting outside and just hanging out, and it's kind of a dull hangout, a really dull hangout, because there's a lot of things in the air. Where are these kids? Where are these girls? Like, where is everybody, right? And my daughter gets a text from her friend who lives in the neighborhood. Hey, I think the dad just got put in the police car. I think the dad got this. And we looked at each other like, there's no way. We're not ready to accept anything other than she left.
What do you guys think you would be thinking if this was your friends and you knew them as well as these people did? What would have been your reaction? Because I think I would have had the exact same reaction as they did. I don't think I would have for a minute questioned the Shanann thing, Shanann harming her children herself, but I completely would have been caught off sight with this, especially since I didn't hang out with them since they had left for North Carolina, since he had met Nicole. So really didn't know the new Chris, if we want to say.
Right? That's the only thing that my brain will allow.
Right.
Is that she took the kids, she left, and they're safe. Right? And the news comes on at, 9, 10 o'clock. We're sitting in bed, we're watching TV, and Chad texts me. He texted me, holy shit, right? Or whatever. He said, what the fuck? And we had just saw it too.
We have breaking new details in just the last few minutes. Contact 7 Investigates is learning new details about the case of that missing pregnant mother.
We want to bring in Denver 7 investigative reporter Jace Larson, who's learning from top sources more about this investigation and the husband's involvement. Jace?
Tonight, we have learned from 2 law enforcement sources who are close to the investigation. They tell me that this husband has confessed to killing his family, and he is now detained.
And it's like, holy shit, he killed him, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I got the blank stare on my face. I'm not an emotional person. Girls obviously all start crying. She starts crying, they start crying. By the time I get to the door, he's already at my door. And he's got whiskey in his hand. And it's like, looks like we're standing on the porch for a minute, right? Because I'm trying to process, I was at this fucker's house 2 days ago trying to help find these people. Is this real? Is this not real? Is this real? Is this not real? That's the way my brain goes, right?
Yeah.
And oddly as it can be, I get up in the morning. Obviously, there's a lot of emotion that goes on overnight, right?
Right.
I get up in the morning, I'm driving to work, and the Black and Yellow fucking song comes on. Of all songs that can come on, Black and Yellow, knowing that they're Pittsburgh Steelers fans. And that's when I lost it, right? Like, I just broke down crying all the way to work. I'm sitting at work, I'm sitting at my desk, and they're like, why the fuck are you here? because they all knew because of Tuesday, and they saw stuff on the news. They knew I was friends with him. They, a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's your neighbor." He wasn't my neighbor, but he lived close by.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting at work, and they're like, "Why are you here right now? Like, this isn't normal. None of this is okay." And I'm just trying to be normal.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't set in all the way. And so I was at work maybe 10 minutes before I was heading back home.
Yeah.
And they were just like, "Call me if you need anything." And just still trying to process it, right?
Where were your emotions at that point?
Oh, just completely
In shock.
in shock. Like, I cannot believe this is happening and that we're a part of this, and so, like, close-knit a part of it. And
We're never going to see our friends again. We're never going to see those little girls' faces again. Oh my goodness. It had to have been so heartbreaking for everyone involved. I couldn't imagine if I had to go through something like that. I don't know what I would do.
yeah, just complete shock. And
Not know what to do at that point.
yeah.
No.
And this whole time, like our brains wouldn't let us go there, that they were not okay. And then to find out that, yeah, they're all dead and he's the one that killed them.
Yeah.
And that they were just at our house, and then he was just at his house and had normal conversation like that. Just trying to like wrap our heads around it. It was
Well, it's a lot to process. These
so
are little
hard.
kids that you're
Yeah.
around and taking
Yeah.
care of and giving popsicles to. I
Yeah.
mean, just literally not long before. Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, just unbelievable. When did it set in for you, though, that it was real and that, at some point I want to go back to that picture. That when you saw the kind of that evilness or something in that picture, when was that? Was that after you had heard?
It was, for me, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah,
talking
either
about-
one.
For me, it was months later, right? Because I'm still on board of, okay, now I need to know how this happened. Like, how? And then the story comes out of, well, I went into the room and she was strangling the kids or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so I'm still a little bit on board. I'm still a little bit on board. I was strung along with the hope of the reality wasn't what the reality was,
Right.
if that makes sense. Like, okay, that makes more sense to me, right? It doesn't make sense, but it makes a little bit more sense. Because if she's that OCD and if she's that type A crazy personality, maybe you said that you wanted a divorce and she says you're not taking the kids. And this is all from news stories back in history of how this thing shakes out,
Right.
right? That's all that's going through my head, that there's no way that this calm, collected, no personality kid decides, I can't wait till they get home tonight
Right.
and this is what's going to happen. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, my brain doesn't allow that.
Right.
Yeah, I still don't believe that happens.
Well, have you guys watched the movies?
Yeah.
The
Yes.
documentary?
And somebody tears it apart.
Well, that's what I want to talk about. Tell me when you watched it, because I've watched them both. Was there any part of that movie that you were just like, yeah, it either is kind of dead on, or was there holes in it, or how did you feel about that?
Well, the movie with the actors, it was both. There were parts that were true, not true, semi-true. Like, I mean,
Because they were saying there was a lot of stuff that they had to fill in,
Right.
and I'm sure the fill-in part wasn't quite as accurate as what it could be.
Right.
But did the storyline seem to fit what you knew?
yeah, I mean, for the most part, overall.
And as you were watching it, were you getting kind of the picture of what you then later find out actually happened? Was it nauseating to you? Was it just like, where were you at emotionally when you saw that?
Just kind of like numb. Like, it was just kind of weird. Because I watched, like, when all the documentation came out and all the body cam footage and all the all the police reports and, you know, all the digging that they did for this trial that never happened.
Yeah.
So I watched all of it because for my brain, to try and even like piece this together and make it make sense, which obviously it still doesn't, but I'm an information person. So I'm like, I have all this information at my fingertips. I want to know, like, how did this happen? Like, obviously we weren't aware of their issues, and did those issues lead up to this? And those marital issues, financial, you know, like all this stuff comes out to, and
obviously
a lot
hidden
of
because you guys
information.
have a relationship with these people.
Yeah. So and then
Obviously.
and then finding out that he's having an affair, and so just like all this information, you know, comes forward that, okay, now it makes a little bit more sense because there was all this stuff behind the scenes going on that we didn't know about. So it wasn't just like, oh, they were super happy up until that night and then something happened.
Right.
It was obviously like there was a lot of things that played into this.
That they hid well. They hid well from you guys.
Yeah, we had no idea.
Especially when you hang out a lot. I mean, they hid it well, which is hard for a lot of people to do. So I want to talk about one thing, though, and hopefully you guys have seen it. Did you see his actual confession when he brought in his dad and then they end up confessing?
Well, and that was one of the texts he texted me, was he was waiting for his dad to come in.
Okay, so I want to talk about that because we've got to bring it in. You had text messages with him.
Yeah.
Of course, I've actually seen those. Was that the last text that you got?
The last text I got was, my dad's flying in. And then I texted him back. I said, hey, is your dad here? Nothing. Hey, how's things going? Nothing.
So you hear that confession, you're watching on TV that he just confessed. He fails the polygraph test. You hear this confession. Obviously, that drives it home at that point. Now you know.
Well, and you see the videos with him at his neighbor's house with his neighbor's doorbell cam, right?
Yes.
Watching his truck, and he's standing there, his hands are on the wall. Now I look at it like, man, am I glad I didn't know when I sat on his kitchen table the night after.
Well, that's kind of where I want to
Like-
go with this segment is, you know, where all this information comes out, you see the doorbell cam. You see the other camera where, you know, the truck is backing up. You see another car goes by. And I'm going to kind of finish this up here in just a minute. And I'm going to ask you guys your honest opinion on this because there's a lot of speculation that there may have been accomplished. But did you, when you saw all of that stuff, at any point in that time were you like, yeah, this was completely premeditated? He didn't decide this that night after he left our party. This was decided weeks before. Did you have that sensation?
No,
Tell me that. What'd you have?
not at all, because everything was just way too normal. Like, I feel like if there was something coming up, he wouldn't have showed up to our party. If there was something would have been out of the normal, but he kept everything way too normal, which to me now is like, how do you know you're going to do that and keep everything that normal? And I guess that's a good thing, because that means I could never do such a
Right.
thing.
Right.
I guess if you can't wrap your head around the why the kids, the why, like I could understand a little bit of, you could heat of passion, a fight with someone, whether it's your wife, whether it's a person at a bar, whether it's a friend, whether it's something,
Another adult.
another adult. Things happen a little bit easier than the whole kid, wife, pregnant wife to be, right? Like kid, pregnant wife. How do you, the best part is if you can't wrap your head around the whys, good for you, because you're not that guy.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
You
No,
know.
that makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Couple questions. Have you talked to him at all since his arrest?
no,
If you had the chance, would you?
yeah,
What would you ask him?
What the fuck?
yeah.
Yeah.
In a
I mean, that's the
nutshell,
obvious one.
Yeah.
she probably wouldn't be allowed in the room.
Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, seriously, like,
But
download your brain, because the problem is that, you know,
Download your brain.
the FBI has gone back to interview him, and he's had another story. And then some lady wrote him letters and wrote a book, and then
Yes.
he had another story. But there weren't like enough questions to still answer. Like there's still a lot of holes in it, even when and he keeps telling different stories, and every time he tells the story, it gets worse. So it's like, what really is, the truth has to be in there somewhere. Like, what is the truth, and what is your, like, what was your thought process leading up to this? And now, like, I don't know, they're like, the FBI interviewed him again, but they didn't ask the questions that I would have asked.
Right.
Like, it wasn't.
Would it be important for you to know? Do you feel like you would like to know, just for your own closure and peace of mind?
Yes, just to know, because.
And I'm going to follow this up with another question. So we obviously know he had a mistress. We obviously know that he was having this affair. But you knew him before the affair, most likely, during the affair, obviously.
Yeah.
He never changed at all? Did he seem happier being this happy-go-lucky guy? He's got this girl on the side. And
No.
100%.
Nothing ever changed with the guy.
Like, he has a poker face. Whatever's going on in his head,
You never would have known.
he doesn't show it.
Do you think this guy was a cold-blooded murderer, or do you think that there were other circumstances that pushed him to do this?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, in
From
the
what
beginning,
you knew about this guy, and you just don't think there's any possible way he could do it, do you think, just your opinion, that there was an outside influence that helped him make this decision? Would you speculate that?
No. If anything, the kid was maybe introduced into a lifestyle that he didn't have by being with this other girl.
You guys got to remember, this is a couple years old episode, so I don't think they're up to date on everything that we found out. So I think that this would have been answered much differently if that were the case.
Where he got to go to the Shelby Museum, being a Ford guy, got to go camping, got to go to Moab, got to do all these different things, right? And maybe that's just me trying to circle it together to where there's a realistic reason for anything. But I don't know if her showing him this lifestyle is enough to make him do this, because in my mind, you're a pussy, then just get a fucking divorce.
Right.
Right? Don't kill your
Amen.
fucking kids. Don't kill your fucking wife. Just man the fuck up and get a divorce.
You know,
Right?
I want to run a couple things by you guys again. Chime in however you feel, but there is a few different people that speculate that there was an accomplice, and they're pretty hardcore on it. There's a lot of video evidence that people have broke down to show that there was potentially two people there at the time. My question again to you guys, I think I already know the answer, but to you guys, knowing him and knowing her, knowing the children, do you think he would have had to have had an accomplice, or do you think he was able just to do it by himself?
If he was doing it, it was going to be by himself. He doesn't know anyone. He didn't go places. He didn't hang out with anybody that he didn't work with, right? Like, the only person he knew at where I worked with him was me because of Shanann, right? I've never met any of his oil field buddies at any party we've ever had with them, right? He was very cockroachish, for lack of better words, on that. If they went anywhere, it was her friends. It was her people. It was her friends that came over. It was her Thrive people that came over. It was her world that he was living in,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Did you talk to any of her friends? Have any of them contacted you?
no,
No.
not at all.
Would you like to? Would you want to talk to them?
Sure, if they have questions or if they have things, like, I've tried to reach out to a couple of them with, hey, I have pictures of the family together and the kids and this and that. Nobody's ever contacted me back.
What about her parents? Have you reached out to them and said you had pictures of them and anything?
One time, and I didn't get anything back, so I didn't push the issue.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's good. I know I did read some stuff as I was doing preparing for the podcast, and it does seem as if her parents want this just to go away and be done, and I totally get that.
Well, and that's the other reason why we waited so long to even talk to anybody, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're not trying to intrude on anything, but oddly enough, we were as close to those people in the last few days as anyone could be,
Yeah.
right? We saw them last, right?
Yeah.
I went to his house the day they were missing. They were at my house the day before they were missing, right? That makes us the missing link in the world of movies they want to make,
Yeah.
stories they want to come up with, right? And it doesn't mean much, but it means in a 24-hour period of time, they were at our house, I was at his house, right?
All right. Again, at Truth Talks, we want to thank you guys for telling your story.
All right, guys. So yeah, he just said in a 24-hour period of time, they were at our house, perfectly normal. 2, I was at their house, and they were missing. What happened? Something happened in that 24-hour period of time, which I really, really think was at the Lazy Dog that night, and was followed up on. Just, you guys let me know what you think. I want to put this interview back out there because it is very important. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, loves.